Altcoins have had a really good week and even a good month. Just touching on the altcoin categories we'd like to look at. It looks like AI and meme coins have been the top performing altcoin sectors in the last sort of month.
I think when a lot of the layer ones like Solana, Ethereum, when they start to move back towards that next leg up, a lot more people sitting in profits. I think historically speaking, that's when we have seen that people start to speculate back in the NFT realm, gaming realm even. Just bringing confidence into these sectors will help the whole area sort of flourish.
G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of Tapping Into Crypto. My name's Ted and I'm joined again by the great man Pav Hundal. Pav, how's things with you, mate?
Very good.
Yeah?
Can't be too upset in a week like this.
Nah, it's been a good week for crypto all around.
Crypto wins, our lives win, right? You know?
Well, that's it.
When you do good in life.
We really only care about crypto.
Yeah, pretty much.
The state of the market kind of dictates how our mental health performs. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, essentially that's how we operate for anyone wondering. But look, big week to unpack.
Yep.
A lot happening in the market, so we'll get straight into it.
Yep.
What's happening with Bitcoin?
What's happening with Bitcoin? Well, we've had a massive breakout. We talked about last episode how we were playing at these previous range lows, and if the bulls were going to step in, we should expect a pretty nice reaction to the upside. In terms of levels and where we are at now, I think it makes a lot of sense for us to still potentially look to find liquidity higher. Even eyeing off the highs before we had this big dip. If we're really in a bull market, I'd be expecting prices to get around that 70k mark before we maybe see a bit more of a substantial sell-off. Time will tell if we actually see that. I think this week we've had a really good reaction on a Monday. In the past, when I have looked into that, that's generally a good sign for the rest of the week. So we'll see what comes of that. But I mean, when we look at some of the fundamentals, I mean, this is something we've pointed at in the past as well. And I'm sure lots of people have seen this on potentially crypto Twitter as well. For those wondering, on Spotify, come check us out on YouTube. We've got some nice little things that we like to share now and then. But this is a chart that shows the performance of Bitcoin from its cyclical low. So we're talking about the absolute low that it puts in a market cycle. And then it's broken up by the different 4-year cycles that we've seen. A lot of that obviously governed by the Bitcoin halving, amongst other things. But every subsequent cycle, we've seen that they've gotten steadily longer. So if we remove the genesis or first cycle and the second cycle, and we just really look at the last 2 cycles that we've seen, so since 2015, we kind of tend to see that this is about the period where we enter I guess a bit of pace, a bit of price appreciation, bit of a trending environment. So again, if we are going to see the markets do what they do from a seasonality perspective, really the next 2 to 3 months is when we start to see that really start to take shape. So that lines up a lot with our...
It's a good looking chart, like just to point something out, like the last cycle where we had a high in November 2021. So like looking back at all the Bitcoin cycles, it seems to be like the return on Bitcoin gets lower and lower.
Correct.
Which is it's a bit of a trend playing out. I guess that's to be expected when Bitcoin becomes a larger and larger asset. But like it's also worth pointing out, like these present opportunities. You know, when Bitcoin runs high, that means we're typically in a bull market. There are other opportunities to get bigger return on investments, i.e. through altcoins. But also like the returns through Bitcoin have still been strong, even this cycle thus far. So look, if all things play out like it has historically, I think we're due for a big Q4 and I really hope we are.
Well, that's all sort of what it's pointing to. And just sort of iterate some of the other things that we've sort of pointed to as, I guess, proxies for how the market's faring. Bitcoin dominance is something that we've talked about needing to top out before we really start to see that rotation into altcoins, like you sort of mentioned as well. This still really has just remained very grindy and hasn't really had a pop is the best way I'd explain it. So in the past, when we have seen reversals in Bitcoin dominance, it's after a pretty exuberant move to the upside. So again, we're waiting still for that to take place, and that kind of adds to that idea that we'll probably see Bitcoin run first, just to really run away before it takes a bit of a breather and the rest of the market keeps up. But then we're looking back at our little altcoin roadmap that we've been following now since the bear market. You know, we've tested these lows very nicely, how we spoke about 4 weeks ago, continue to just test and find support. And now we're really, I guess, pointing at this sort of positioning where we're just hopefully going to see this grind higher. And again, it's not until we really get to these range highs that we really start to see it pop. And that could be, again, when Bitcoin's finished running, we might see the total market cap of all the altcoins really get a bit of breathing space. But turning to even our ETF flows, which we like to track and follow, seen some big buying from some pretty big groups, obviously in entities in the States. So $239 million US coming out of just the Fidelity product alone, 100 mil from the Bitwise product just overnight. So we're looking like it's going to be a $500 million day, just still waiting on the BlackRock data to come in, as well as the Invesco product. That'll be one of the biggest buying days we've seen for quite some time. On the 27th of September, we saw a similar sort of propensity, 494 million. So for me, obviously, if the ETF market's liking what we're seeing, even with Bitcoin moving into closer and closer towards those new all-time highs, that's a big sort of tell in terms of how the market's feeling. I would say very confident.
Yep.
And from a lot of the macro factors that I have been following as well, we spoke about last week. Everything's momentum wise pointing towards things are looking right. So let the good times roll.
That's what we like to hear from you, Pav. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Sure.
Yeah, listen.
How about you? What are you liking so far?
I mean, I agree 100% with all your points. Bitcoin looking good. I also wanted to touch on altcoins, and I guess this will lead into our top movers segment. But yeah, I guess altcoins have had a really good week and even a good month. And just touching on the the altcoin categories we like to look at, it looks like AI and meme coins have been the top performing altcoin sectors in the last sort of month. AI coins we're looking at are Tau, so BitTensor, and also WorldCoin.
They've been really running away.
Yeah, they've been leading that sector. And then meme coins, as I mentioned. Yeah, they're always up there, aren't they? Yep. And there seems to be a new meme coin popping up, every sort of week these days. Like we saw Mu Deng, the obviously the very lovable, cute hippo.
Very cute hippo.
Had a meme coin that launched last week on Swyftx and some other exchanges. So, they never stop. I know Popcat's been one of the top performing meme coins as well. But I guess what I take from this is we're looking at the top performing sectors, like what's sort of the next rotation into. DeepIn has been underperforming in the last month or so. Also RWA, I think a bit of time out of the spotlight. But particularly, with BlackRock being crypto's biggest cheerleader at the moment, I think we will see that enter the spotlight again. Also, we're seeing the likes of Trump and his World Liberty Financial project, which kind of ties in with the DeFi side of things.
Yeah, RWA as well.
RWA, yep.
Wonder if that'll bring some attention to it. It's hard to really take any attention away from meme coins right now, it feels.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people just love meme coins, hey?
Yeah.
Like, what can you do about that?
Everyone's complaining there's never been a use case for crypto. Well, what if it's meme coins?
But yeah, you mentioned before this, like we're probably due for, a little bit of love with NFTs again.
Well, I was just wondering, like, what's the next thing that happens? I think when a lot of the layer ones, like Solana, Ethereum, when they start to move back towards that next leg up, a lot more people sitting in profits. That's, I don't know. I think historically speaking, that's when we have seen a bit of those more... exotic plays. People start to speculate back in the NFT realm, back in the gaming realm even. I think like we've talked about that too, like just bringing confidence into these sectors will help the whole area sort of flourish. So I think the same goes with DeFi too.
I mean, typically those sort of sectors are more, more, I guess, approachable to the retail market, right? The retail market understands gaming pretty well. They got around NFTs last cycle. So, I mean, meme coins as well. But yeah, I 100% agree. Let's dive into our top movers for the week.
Let's go.
So, surprise, surprise, there's a bunch of meme coins that have entered the top movers in the last 7 days. So, the biggest ones are Nero, Brett, which is like it's on Base. That's on Base. Yeah, that's like a Pepe sort of similar meme coin. I think Pepe's in there somewhere. We also saw Turbo have a run, but that seemed to have slipped out as well. Mogcoin. So yeah, some of your favorite memes, and then some of the newer up and coming meme coins as well. But I don't want to spend too much time on that because how much time can you spend on meme coins?
Oh, all day. But there's some other good ones there too, like ENA and OM, so Mantra DAO. So one being DeFi, the other one being real world assets. I think they've been pretty prominent in the top movers. Abe's still there kicking about 11%. As far as like top tier coins go, it's been performing quite well, even since the market was falling apart. I know we were pointing to that one. It was showing the most strength about 1 to 2 months ago. And then what do you got? Layer ones. You got Say there. You've got Sui, Tia, Aptos. All the hits.
I think in terms of those newer age tech layer ones, like you mentioned, Tia, Aptos, Sui, Say. I say they're newer age tech because like they, I guess,
bring the next round of attention.
Yeah, bring a bit of a different approach to the layer one space. You know, they always try and offer like some differentiation through you know, efficiency, speed, scalability, those sorts of things. But Sui has obviously been the one we've been talking about.
Yeah, new all-time highs.
Yeah, so Sui's been really kicking it.
You've been very happy, haven't you, Ted?
I've been stoked. Like full transparency, I do own a little bit of Sui, so I guess a bit of bias on my end, but I want to break it down a little bit because it's entered the top 20 coins by market cap following its recent run, and I think it's up over 100% in the last month or so.
Yeah, I was going to say month or so, right?
And I wouldn't even be surprised if it entered the top 10 within the next 6 months. Like it really seems to have that narrative behind it. You know, it's got like backers from the likes of Raoul Pal, who obviously has been on the podcast before. And then, it's obviously launching great features. You've got the gaming console coming sometime soon and the ZK login that enables people to log in via their Facebook and Google accounts, things like that. Strong team. So it's looking good. And then also something I want to touch on. Yeah, looking at the total value locked for a lot of these bigger chains. So we've got about 10 up there. Sui's actually overtaken the likes of... It's past Avalanche. I don't think we've got that up there. It's past Avalanche, Polygon, Ton Network. So in terms of total value locked, it's performing really strongly. And that's a metric that kind of measures the overall growth of its ecosystem and also the strength of its DeFi ecosystem in particular, because TVL is something that ties in closely with DeFi. And then also if you look at daily active addresses, Sui is performing really well there. And then we see Aptos and also the Say network kind of follow in the footsteps. I guess Say is a bit of a baby brother to Sui, so we typically see them move in similar pace, and also Aptos as well. So
sort of a pretty similar pattern last cycle. I think we've talked about it last year of Solana and Avalanche. Like when Solana would move, Avalanche would move next after it. It was just the way the market responded.
So I mean, I might be calling it pretty early here, but I think Sui is going to have is going to be a market leader in this next cycle or in the next sort of 6 to 12 months.
Spoken truly like a guy with Sui bags.
Well, you know, maybe.
I kind of agree. Like if you look at even objectively performance wise, like it's the first one of this new breed to really break out into new all-time highs. That's something you got to pay attention to.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the challenge for a lot of these new layer ones is being able to differentiate themselves from the likes of Ethereum and Solana and Avalanche, those already established chains that have been around. You know, they've got better security, they've got more sort of experience under their belt. So it's all about differentiating and offering value in some other way. It's about attracting developers, and then you got to build a thriving ecosystem as well. So all key things that these players need to do.
Absolutely.
I guess moving into the news headlines for the week, we touched on the HBO documentary that was looking into who could potentially be the real Satoshi Nakamoto.
Did you catch this?
I haven't seen it yet, but one of my guys has given me the full rundown. So we spoke about last week, the documentary hadn't actually come out yet, but there was a lot of speculation leading into it that
it was on poly markets and stuff.
It was going to say that it was Len Sassaman who passed away, and it was kind of linked up with sort of Satoshi's last words on the internet. But the HBO documentary came out Wednesday, I think, and it's kind of getting clowned on a little bit because it's...
I like that, clowned on.
Basically come out and stated that this Peter Todd guy, who is like, I guess, a prominent figure in the Bitcoin world, he was actually the original creator, but even Peter Todd has come out and said it's all BS. So, and then even like... I mean, I guess you would say that if you were him, but a lot of people are just saying, nah, there's no way. Because he was 23 at the time. There was a lot of... It's just a lot of baseless claims that are pointing in his direction.
Damn.
So, yeah, HBO missed the mark with that one.
Unlucky.
Yep. Thoughts on that one, Pav?
Yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I think we spoke about this last time. Like, would it change our opinion or views? Or, if we could find out who is Satoshi, do we want to know? Do we care? I think we both kind of said we don't care.
I actually think it's more favourable if we don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's what. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, not really coloured surprised by this one.
Yeah. A lot of people speculate, and we spoke about this last week, it's either Hal Finney, who I think did
Passed
the first
away,
ever,
right?
passed away as well. Did the first ever Bitcoin transaction and was the first person to speak to Satoshi online. Or this Len Sassaman, who we spoke about last week, who was like big on cryptography and privacy and things like that, also passed away. So, yeah. But we do know it's definitely not that Craig Wright guy, the Australian who tried to take Bitcoin to court, claiming he was Satoshi Nakamoto.
I don't think it was the court order. He's literally got to write on his website that I'm
not Satoshi.
I'm not Satoshi.
Yeah.
But in other news, we've had this one recently pop up in conversations around the office. We thought we'd share it with the listeners. I know we've sort of spoken about gaming being a bit of a theme. It's something people can get around as a use case for crypto moving forward, just in terms of like creating ecosystems and online marketplaces, etc. So off the grid. So I don't know too much about the game specifically, but I know, Ted, you've been doing a bit of research into this one.
Yeah, so Off the Grid, it's a new game. It's kind of like a PUBG, Fortnite type battle royale game, and it's actually recently launched on PS5 and Xbox. So we talk about Web3 gaming or blockchain gaming accessibility being a major problem. This is basically available to the masses through PS5, Xbox, and also
PC.
So that's great. It's built on the Avalanche network, it looks like. It was built by Gunzilla Games, who's developed its own in-house blockchain called Guns, and that's based off Avalanche's Layer 1 technology. So Avalanche, we spoke about them before being, I guess, going down the gaming route and trying to
lots of support for that,
trying to go down that niche and really focus on that. It looks like they've nailed it with this one. So it's currently available. I don't think it's fully, it's not fully developed out yet, but I think a portion of the game is available through those consoles. Off the grid. It hasn't got a token yet, but there is talk they're gonna introduce a in-game ecosystem, and the token's going to be called GUN, GUN. But that hasn't launched on Avalanche yet. But you can probably guarantee that it will sometime in the next year.
Could guarantee it might even be worth an airdrop. I mean, if we're playing it, maybe at this stage, who knows? Like, it's all speculation. But I know I'll probably try and give it a roll when I get a few minutes free at home.
The trailer looks seriously impressive.
And definitely like a AAA finish to it all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we talk about trailers all the time being like these. You can develop a really good trailer and not have a good game to back it up with. We saw it last cycle with I know I got sucked into like Star Atlas because they had like the Mintus trailer, and then they didn't even have a game. I don't even think they still have a game. So just be careful with that. You actually want to get a glimpse of like the gameplay and how many people are playing, some of those key fundamentals. And don't just base your whole investment strategy over a trailer, a slick trailer. Mate. We'll try and keep you posted on this game Off the Grid.
Yeah, there'll be more to come, I'm sure. In other news, we also have BlackRock in a recent talking about how Bitcoin and crypto adoption is going faster than the internet and mobile phones. Funnily enough, I ran across the same stat maybe 2 weeks ago, and it was like comparing it side by side, year on year, since inception, what was the growth like? And I just wonder if it's like one that's actually appropriate to compare, because if you look at the internet back in the 90s, where I don't know about you, but we had like one computer amongst like almost two families. Like it wasn't as easily accessible, whereas now it's like everyone on their phone can get onto like decentralized exchange and do trading, or get a crypto centralized exchange app. So it is interesting, but I mean, it's still good, right? Like, we're still seeing people flocking, and there's growth every year. So
I think they point to the fact that it's purely down to like the digital landscape that we live in today. Like, everyone's got access to a phone, like you said, computer. So it's more accessible for everyone. I don't know where they've got the numbers from, but I've seen like a similar sort of chart to this in the past, where like I think around 600 million people have adopted blockchain or used in some capacity, and that was early this year, and I think it's like 5 billion people. So more than half the global population have adopted the internet. So still a fair way to go, but it's good to see that it's trending in the right direction. It's also comparing the mobile phone as well. So everyone pretty much has a mobile phone. Everyone uses the internet. Not everyone uses crypto, but it's trending in the right direction. So we see a pretty steep curve upwards, and then it's starting to flatten out as more of the world starts to adopt it. So I don't know. How would you compare this in investing terms? Like, because Amazon was available to invest in, I think like 1997 it went public. How would you compare that in terms of scale of crypto?
Oh, you mean like where was Amazon's adoption level from its early stages? Versus how's crypto? I don't even know. Like, we're still at a point where everyone's still trying to work out what's the use case for crypto. I think honestly, like other than Bitcoin and meme coins right now, and stable coins, like I think stable coins are like the closest thing we've gotten to like, we know what this is for and how it could be used in the future.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that's just like speculation or trying to like improve or disrupt industries. Man, you have to think we're right at the very start still.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think the internet like really became a thing in the 80s.
Yeah.
And then I guess had its big sort of burst out into the mainstream in the late 90s, early 2000s, and then we saw that bubble. And then, so I guess, we're kind of in a similar stage now where Bitcoin was invented in 2009, and it's about 15 years on. We're still in a pretty infant stage, but as you can see from BlackRock saying here, it's growing at a faster rate than the internet and the mobile phone. But you got to take into account those things that we live in a digital economy. That
sort of speaks volumes better, right? Like digital economy, digital assets. It seems like an inevitable thing that's going to just happen. So
that's it. But
it just might look different to what it looks like now. That's all I would say.
Well, that's it.
Yeah,
and it's good to see that BlackRock are continuing their support for crypto. They're probably crypto's biggest cheerleader at the moment.
Yeah, Larry Fink's. I think it's just been on every day. I've seen on Bloomberg or something else, just cheerleading. For Bitcoin. So he is a believer.
No, good to see.
What do we got, mate? We've got the tipping left this week. So I've undone you. I've come out with a victory this week.
My streak has ended, the 3 week in a row.
So I had with, say, and Tia. So finished up the week up about 11%. So $11,100. And yourself, Sir Ted? I think you had...
I had Jupiter, Bonk, and Ondo, and I finished just under 11k. So still in the profit,
still
but
good.
You got me. You pipped me this week, Pav.
Not by much, but it's a win.
That's right. Take it. It was a hotly contested week, which is good to see. Which it's good for me. I need that competitive drive because I've been lacking in recent weeks.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But what do you got for the coming week?
This week I'm just going to try and play into some assets that I think have a bit of catch up to play, looking at the charts. So I still think, say, just having Sui had its breakout, new all-time highs, I do wonder if that now starts to consolidate. We might see a rotation into, say, SEI. So going to hold on to that one for another week. And then as far as, I think we have to have a meme coin just because we've seen from the data, like it is the best performing category, second to only AI. So I've gone the cute cat on Solana.
Nice.
And then Lido DAO. So Lido DAO, I was just doing a bit of research on that one, and just the technicals, it looks like it's at some serious weekly lows. Bit worried that one might be a bit sluggish and not do too much for me, but I'm happy to take a bit of a chance on that one. So they're my 3 for this week.
Nice. Same approach with you for Say. I think rotation out of Sui into Say makes sense. We mentioned it's like a baby brother, so it makes sense. Sorry to copy you on that one. Then I'm going to go Aave as well, purely on the back of Trump's World Liberty Financial. They're releasing a token, plus election hype. I just think there'll be a bit of spotlight around that. And I should preface that the World Liberty Financial Protocol will be using Aave's tech to sort of launch that. I think it's built on the back of that. So Aave is a DeFi protocol, for those that don't know. And then you also mentioned that it's had some relative strength in the last few months. Yeah, and then really to round it off, I'm going to go the conservative approach and go Bitcoin, just to be a bit more risk adverse, to sort of save us if we go down further. But look, I hope we go up. So I'm just, trying to take a bit of a different approach.
No, I like it. Cool. Well, that's a wrap then. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for joining us. We'll be back next week to talk all things crypto. But until then, take care.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Enjoy your week.